All right, guys, we are going to do the first fire up, or attempt the first fire up on the short box. So for you guys that have been watching the whole series, it was a 2-wheel drive, half-ton gas truck. I've shortened a 3/4 ton frame, put Dana 60, the newer style Dana 60 in the front, Dana 80 disc brake in the rear. It is a PPUMP 6.7. A bunch of whizzy stuff done in the engine. I'll get into that another time. Or you can go back in the videos and I explain everything too. S472 with a upgraded wheel. Black Sheep Industries blow-off valve, not blow-off valve, sorry. External wastegate. Steam manifold, Banks intake. It's got a bunch of stuff. Mission motor intercooler. I spent not all of the money, but I spent a pretty good amount. So I was monkeying around with a little bit off camera. I got some of the wiring done. It still doesn't want to roll over with the key, but I think I know, I'm 99% sure I know the problem. I'm just gonna have to go in and change the wiring a little, which is fine. But it's a neutral safety switch, I'm pretty sure. And so half of this wiring harness come out of an automatic and half of it come out of a standard. So I need a clutch switch wired up per se. And then the neutral safety switch, I need wired up. So I'm gonna deal with that, but I'm gonna do that through, because I'm gonna have a manual shifter because of manual valve body. We are going to hook the neutral safety switch up to that because I would rather have it hooked to that. So then when that is in gear, it doesn't matter what anything else is doing. So what else we got? I had to set the valves because I did not have the valve set. That is actually a learning experience. I left the valves loose because I knew that this was going to be a while before I was to start it, and I didn't want the valve springs pushed down. So I just left everything loose. I went to roll it over and it was like dead. And I was just like, I don't understand. Why is it not rolling over properly? It sounded funny, right? Basically because it was deadheading, which doesn't hurt anything in this instance. But now I realized that I didn't have the valve set. So we got that. I just set all the valves on it. I'm gonna put the valve cover back on. I have the fast just hooked up right here. You know, nothing special because I am going to wire that inside, but I wanted to make sure everything else, the wiring per se that we have is actually working properly before I go ahead and do that. Because some of the wiring harness come out of a truck that I know was running. Some of it came out of a truck that I don't know if it was running. So I just want to make sure everything works properly before I start wiring in extra stuff. So I've already quickly bled that part of the system. I bled 2 injection lines, which with the fast unit, you can just crack them loose and you do that. So this should start relatively easy. Now I've already rolled it over enough to get oil coming out of the rockers. I double checked, make sure we had oil at the turbocharger. I've rolled it over enough so the turbocharger is fed with oil. All of this is good with oil, so everything should be oiled. I am going to double check the engine oil, and then I'm also going to, check the engine oil. I'm going to check the power steering fluid because none of this has run yet. So I'm going to top everything all off and probably put another couple liters of transmission fluid in it there again because none of this has run yet. So we are going to do that, and then we will try starting it. adjust the idle a little bit. I might actually adjust the govern springs, because it's actually probably the govern springs that are the problem, but I'll probably just turn the idle up for now a little bit. I am going to, I need to get it to idle so that I can check the transmission fluid and the power steering fluid, get them topped up, because obviously I don't want to run it with that low for very long. I did put a bunch of transmission fluid in it, so it should be close to full, and I have put power steering fluid in it, and it's full of oil, so I don't know if it's leaking or not. It's definitely leaking something. Oh, that actually makes power steering fluid. Nope, it looks like it's leaking oil. I must not have a fitting tight there or something. Not a big deal. We'll go in there, tighten that up, check all the fluids, get it idle, and I'll just throw that in a time lapse because you aren't going to want to watch me do that. So I'm going to do that, put some hose clamps on it, and then we can let it idle a little bit. I maybe break it in. We'll see. I'm not sure yet. All right, guys, I think I got everything buttoned up here. I just filled the rat up with warm water and some coolant. I got hose clamps and stuff on. Like I said, the hose clamps are temporary. Just disregard the hose clamps. They're literally just to keep the pipes from falling off. So we are not building any boost. I got all the fluids topped up. I'm gonna have to check the transmission and the power steering fluid while we have it running. But other than that, I think we should be good to go. I hooked the alternator up because I did not have it hooked up to begin with. So hopefully that's charging. We'll see when we start it. I don't know if it will be or not, because I still have, the truck won't start on the key, which I believe is a ground issue. And I still have to hook up the neutral safety switch. So the neutral safety switch I have tricked, so it should be okay, but it doesn't want to start with the key, which I'll figure out later. Not a huge deal. But the gauges are working. The alternator should work. Yeah, so I'm going to start it again. I'm not going to let it run a real long time, because I actually want to take it outside and do the break-in. So we're going to let it run a couple minutes, you know, rev it up a little bit, make sure it's not leaking anywhere, that type of stuff. And then we'll go from there. All right, guys, so you seen I got the truck running. I started to do the break-in, and I didn't. I thought I had the camera on, but I guess I didn't have the camera on, or it died. Probably died. This line started to leak. This is one of the fuel lines, and it started to piss fuel out of right here and right here. So I don't know. I must have done it wrong. I must have screwed up when I was doing it or something, because it wasn't leaking, and then it all of a sudden was just starting to leak, and it's not loose. Everything's tight, so I must have jacked something up, or I don't know if there's something wrong with the line. So I'm gonna make up a new one of these tomorrow, finish the break-in. I got about 10 minutes into the break-in, and everything was kosher except for this started to leak fuel. I did have a couple little oil leaks I had to fix. We got those fixed though. Everything should be good as far as that. I just gotta figure out why the alternator's not charging. I gotta check all the fuses and everything. And why it doesn't start with the key, which I think I have figured out. But we got that to do, alternator, and then everything else to do on the list. So we are going to, this is what we got for the list. And I don't have a marker. Somebody stopped stealing all my Sharpies. I'd be laughing. But they seem to be a hot commodity around here. So I got the CNC clamps on. Coolant is filled. Add more ATF fluid. I got that done. Yeah, so we got the rest of this stuff. I don't think I'm going to do the filler neck. That'll be on the next list, because one, I want to blast it and make it look nicer, and two, I might have to take the box off, so I'm not going to put it on there until I make sure I don't have to do that. I put 40 liters of fuel in it already. I should maybe actually put some more fuel in it. So I got to do the shifter, the air intake. I still have to do some electrical stuff, and then I have to do this stuff still. So this will be this week. We got to get this stuff done, and as well as this stuff. I got most of the electrical connections done, but not everything. So that's what we got on the go for next week. I want to get that done, and then I don't know, I have to talk to Neil because he wants to cut and polish the truck, and I've been kind of dogging it, I'm not gonna lie. Kind of dogging it, haven't got it finished yet, but I want to see if he wants the truck right away or if he wants to wait. If he wants to wait, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna bring the first gen here, because I'm swapping the rear end out of the first gen into this truck, because I'm changing the rear end in the first gen. And I've already went through that rear end quite a few years ago now, but we are gonna swap the rear end and hook the brakes and everything up. So if he doesn't want this right away, we're gonna swap the rear end before he gets it. So that means we can do the rear brakes. We can do a bunch of other stuff. So we'll see. It's really up to him how fast he wants it. So we'll go from there. That'll be it for this one. Like, subscribe, hit me down in the comments, and remember, it's not rocket science.